Hi you guys. So today I am going to show you all the palettes I've used in March and some in April because I'm behind. I'm sorry. Also, I have a big stack over there of palettes that I'm getting rid of, and that'll probably be my last get rid of palettes for quite some time because I have really just been honing in on things, and I think I've got it down and I'm done. So anyways, let's go into some of the palettes that I've used this month. I've done Nomad Santa's Village palette, and I used the shimmers because that's what I wanted to do, and it added to my look and I loved it. So yes, I like this palette. I know not everybody did, but I do. My lipstick is doing stuff, you guys. It's doing stuff. I've had it on for a while. I used the Alyssa Edwards palette. I've been using the white and the black, and I hit pan on the black. There it is. You can see it. It's a small pan. But yeah. Also used the Christmas Morning palette from Give Me Glow. I used the reds. I love this palette so freaking much. It's amazing. I have a puppy in my lap, you guys. She's sleeping. Okay. I used the Chucky Glam Light palette, and I love it. I love it. It's stunning. It's beautiful. It's smoky. It's grungy. It's amazing. It does have some fallout, but I really do love it. I also used the Scooby-Doo palette for the first time. It's the Creeps and Crawls, and I love it, but it's not super unique, like, to my collection. I do love the shimmers and everything, and it's a great little palette, but it's not very unique. Actually, the eye look I'm wearing, you could probably almost say, oh, it came from this palette, even though it didn't, in my opinion. Okay. So I also used the Retro Love palette, and this came from Andy Does Stuff, and I love this palette. It's so pretty. It's so stunning. The shimmers are amazing. I love the color story more than I thought I was going to, and we did a collab together using it, and I really do enjoy that palette. I used the Fiery Beauty Bay palette. Looks like that, and I don't remember. I think I used the reds, and then I used the red from the Glam Light and combined the two from the Glam Light from the Give Me Glow. But I really do love this palette as well. I used the Be Perfect Carnival palette. Is anybody surprised? I use this a lot. No pans, but lots of dips. There's so many colors in this, like hitting pan in it would be really hard unless I was concentrating on something. But I will say, you guys, I think I've used every shadow in this palette, and I didn't even have to like try. I have just managed to use every single shadow in this palette. I love it. It's a big palette, but it has just, it's like one of my favorite palettes of all time. So the palette on my eye today is actually the Nomad Royal Europe palette, which actually came yesterday. I don't know when this is going to go up, but and I like it. It's beautiful. I love the multi-chromes. That's why I bought it. Yeah, I do have a video at some point that'll be up, or that is already up, about my final thoughts, but yeah, I like it. I use It's Freaking Bats from Shroud Cosmetics. It's a good palette. I enjoy it. It's very dusty. I used to really hate it, but I've gotten better at how to use this palette. So yeah, the shimmers are really good though. Those are a standout. And I actually paired it with the Rose Quartz palette from Huda Beauty. And that's what this one looks like. I love this palette a lot. It's funny because I actually really like the Love Stone shade. It's that cream emollient oil shade. I like to use it for a brow bone highlight, or use it instead of a glitter glue and top the shimmers on top of it. I use the Nomad Harajuku palette, which is funny. I use this a lot more than I realize. But yeah, I used the shimmers in it this time around. And I think I may have used one of the satin shades as well. But yeah. I also used my Beauty Bay Nikki Tutorials palette. I love this palette so much. I know not everybody did, but yeah, I used the red in it. Of course, there's pan in that red. It got bigger, but there was already pan in it. And then I have pan in the Ivy shade as well. But yeah, I love it. This palette has been very used. I also used the Lunar Beauty Strawberry Dream palette, and I'm still developing my thoughts. I used the Blend Bunny Primal palette, which looks like that, and I got this from Andy Does Stuff. I love this palette. I mean, who doesn't? I haven't heard very many, if any, people say they don't like the Blend Bunny palettes. I also used the Surge palette. I used the Ace Beauty Oceanic palette. I love this palette. And I used the Haunted Europe palette. I think I only used the Highgate Cemetery shade because I was looking for that type of shimmery blue. So yeah, that is all the palettes that I used. I haven't been doing much makeup lately. I've been really just in a rut. So let's go ahead and get into all of the palettes I'm going to get rid of. I've just really been trying to hone in on my collection and only keep things that really bring me joy. I mean, these bring me joy, but just not enough anymore. So I am getting rid of the Smoky Glow Midas Cosmetics palette. I really do like some of the shimmers in this palette, but I hardly ever use it. Even with the shimmers that I love in this palette, like Lino. Why am I swatching? This is gonna make me not want to keep it or get rid of it. I do love those, but I have other shimmers in my collection that fill that, you know, and it's an older palette and they don't make it anymore. That brand doesn't exist. They rebranded and I haven't paid any attention because honestly, like, I don't care. Like, you should have just stayed Midas, in my opinion. Okay, and then I'm getting rid of the Morphe Boss Mode palette. I do love the color story of this palette, but guess what? I have that Antidote palette and it's got very similar vibes, and I'm gonna reach for that 100% over this. So it's time to let this one go. I'm getting rid of the Lunatic Cosmetics Labs palette. It's the Zombie Defense, I think. Yes. I actually took out one of the shades, I don't remember which one, and swapped it. I think this was actually a purple, like a light lavender, and I took it out because their pans are magnetic, which I love. And I put it in, like, put one of the shadows in here and took it out and put it in another palette to make it more my thing. So anyways, I'm getting rid of that. This one's a hard one. This is the Lime Crime Prelude. It's stunning. It's beautiful. I love the packaging, but it's not good enough to keep. Like, I just want it for the packaging. This one is another really hard one. This is from Lorella and it's the Spider Queen. I love the packaging of this so freaking much, and the color story is really pretty too, but the performance of this is just not as good as other things I have in my collection, and I would prefer to reach for something that performs easier, you know? I love this. It's almost want to keep it for the packaging, but I just can't. I just can't. These ones will shock the shit out of a lot of people probably. Yeah, Kaleidos palettes. This is the neon one. I almost wanted to keep it for those two shimmers right there, but I would literally only be keeping it for those shimmers. Oh my god, they're stunning, but I just can't. I cannot keep it just for those shimmers. I just can't. I think Amy will really like this palette and use the crap out of it. And I've got neon shades, you know, in the Search palette. So I'm also getting rid of the sci-fi green. Now this one was kind of hard to get rid of, but I really hate these packaging. I hate the packaging. Hate it. The two of the greens look very similar on the eyes, and I have the Ace Beauty Tropical Vibes palette that I would reach over this and do, because this packaging sucks. And at first I thought I would love it, but I just don't. So I'm also getting rid of these Cara Beauty palettes. They are fairly new to me, and I do love them a lot actually, but I just don't know if I see myself choosing, as you can see I have used them, choosing them over other things I have in my collection. And I actually have somebody in my life who is just now getting into makeup, and they are transitioning, sort of, not really, like, no, it is kind of a transition, and they're getting more in tune with their feminine side, and so I would love to give those palettes to them. I think that would be a very good thing for them, because they don't have a lot of money or a lot of makeup, like none. So, and they don't know much about makeup, so I've been talking to them. I actually met them at Five Guys, funny enough. But anyways, this is the Play Cobra Kai palette. It's really pretty. The shimmers are really nice, but it's very neutral and just not a palette that I think that I will reach for. This one's gonna make you guys fall out of your chair. It is the Nomad Marrakesh palette. I want to love it, but the color story just isn't my cup of tea. And I could pair it with other things, but I just don't foresee, like, I just don't see myself doing that. So I have this Natasha Denona Peak palette. I didn't like it, and I've been keeping it because it's Natasha Denona, and I'm like, no, get rid of it. I didn't like it. I have this Center Stage Pinky Rose palette, and it's not that I was like, it performed that bad, but it did kind of muddy out. It's just the color story is not, you know. I have the Pinky Rose Center Stage palette. I actually really love this palette and the color story and the way it performed, but I have other tones like this and other palettes that I tend to reach for. I hate the glitters in these. I love glitter, you guys, but that glitter is not any good in my opinion. So this is also kind of shocking because I just got them and I feel like I wasted my money, and it's these. And I love Beetlejuice, but this palette, it's not the quality. Okay, look, I have quality from this brand that I like, okay? Like, I actually like Makeup Revolution, but where is that? Like, it's hardly there. It does not perform very good, and I don't like it. And then this one, like, I look at it and I'm like, I can't see anything but the background, and the pans are really small and the quality isn't that good, and it's gotta go. This is a hard one for me. It's a Natural Lust palette from Too Faced. It came from my best friend here in real life, and I love this black. It's the best black ever, in my opinion, ever. But I've used the other colors recently and I just didn't like it. It's not my cup of tea. The formula is good. It's very nice, but it's not this. So I'm just gonna get rid of it because I'm only keeping it for sentimental reasons and I just can't do that. I'm gonna get rid of this. I was only keeping this for the packaging. This is Wicked Sisters, and I actually really like these glitters. The color story is pretty. The shadows are not bad. They're really not bad, but they are kind of dry. And I do really like the brand and the aesthetic, but I have other rainbow palettes that I reach for. So I'm just gonna let it go because I'm not gonna keep it for packaging. This one too, you guys. The Zisa British Museum palette. This came from Kristen, Beauty Beat down here on YouTube, and the color story is not very great. The formula on the shimmers are really good, but the glitter sucks. Wait a second. The shimmers are so good, but I'm not gonna reach for it just for the shimmers. So it's a stunning packaging, but I just don't think I'm gonna reach for it. I haven't, so I need to let it go, even though it kind of hurts. I'm also gonna get rid of the Pinky Rose Exotic Peacock palette. I have a 3 Looks 1 video palette with this, and I loved it a lot. I love this risque color. I love the color story. The shimmers are just lackluster, and I have other blue, green, purple palettes that I reach for over that because they surpass those shimmers. This one was hard. It's a Too Faced Gingerbread Spice palette. It's a beautiful palette, beautiful formula. Not so much my color story though. As much as I want to keep it for the packaging, it's gotta go. Another one that I wanted to keep for the packaging is this Haha Joker from Makeup Revolution. Now this formula was better than the Beetlejuice formula, hands down. I enjoyed the formula. Although this blue is like a putty blue, it's still a very good like blue. It's just a little bit different. Anyways, I don't reach for it. The color story is chaotic, and I have other shades and things in my palette that are my collection that I reach for over this. So as much as I want to keep it for the packaging, it's gonna go. So that's a lot of palettes that I'm getting rid of, you guys. But that is pretty much it. I've curated everything down and I'm happy with my collection and my decisions. So yeah, anyways, I'm just gonna go now. Bye.